Hello, everyone. We are live. Hello, Joseph. Hello, Ferry. Hello, Arjan. Hello, Jerry. Hello,
hey, Maurice.
Who is joining us in a couple of minutes. We are just about to begin. Are you excited, everyone?
Yeah.
Very, very excited. Wow.
Very excited. And first time this webinar down under with you, Jerry.
Yeah, that I'm very excited about. It's great to share the screen.
Ready? Is the other side of the world ready?
Yes.
Ready to live a beat to meet these three great men.
And what's the time over there?
It's 6:30 and 7 p.m. here.
6:30, 7 p.m. So we just had breakfast and you just had dinner. What amazing. Well, I am happy to have you here. Arjan Erkel.
Yeah, hi there.
Here. Joseph Oubelkas from Maastricht. He's everybody telling that he's from Maastricht, but it's not, is it? But anyway, Ferry Zandvliet, Rotterdam, and Arjan Erkel, Rotterdam. It's not the same as Amsterdam, but
we don't go there.
This will be an amazing, very energetic, very motivating, very inspiring webinar, because I'm not sure if you know all those three life-changing stories, but we will give it to you. At the end of this webinar, your life will never be the same. And we try to motivate you. We try to share with you a very positive message in this changing time of crisis. And we just love to have these three amazing human beings to share their story. Are you ready, Jerry?
Yeah, absolutely. Bring it on. Like, I'm so I just can't believe I'm in the room with these guys. You know, I've been looking into them for the last couple of weeks and months, and the stories are just incredible, like mind-blowing stories. And I can't wait for all my Aussie friends to hear them. So, like, bring it on. And even just when we had our meeting like a week or so ago, I just love the energy that you guys all have. It's just incredible. So it's wonderful to be sharing the screen with you.
It's not only energetic, it's only motivating, but it's also fun. They really enjoy life, the three of us. So
that was a biggie that I got out of it from what you guys have been through. Like, it's hell and back. It's hard to imagine. And the three of you have got the best sense of humor I've come across in a long time. You know, it killed me last week. It was so funny.
It kills you. Oh,
well, that's what Ozzy said. Slay them in the aisles. But again, that's probably not the thing to say with Ferry. I'll take that back. What was I thinking?
People in the chat, happy to have you here. I'm not sure if it is your first or maybe your 23rd webinar for me already. So I'm going to the 35th this year.
Whoa.
That's my focus. That's my goal. The speakers bro. Let me introduce myself. My name is Maurice van der Kant, Assembly Speakers Bro, and it's their 35th anniversary this year, in this crazy year.
Congrats.
So my father founded it when I was 10 years young. I grew up in this whole speaking event industry, and on your journey, of course, you have ups and downs, and yeah, my new journey is actually the 𝒃𝒐𝒐𝒌𝒆𝒔.com community to create a bunch of a platform full of purpose-driven speakers, and that's what you are also doing, Jerry. Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, giving the power to the speakers and power to the people. Yeah, and we just like it's all coming together under one big umbrella. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, we must more put the humanity in this whole speaking event industry. We must more focus on how can we collaborate more together to create that, yeah, that life that Arjan, Joseph, and Ferry are enjoying, and they suffered at a certain time in life. So let's start. Let's start to share the story. I think. Let's start off the first one with Arjan. Is that okay, Jerry?
With Joseph. Just discuss Joseph. So you're gonna start. It's like politeness.
Oh, okay. No, it's okay.
Let's go.
You want me to-
Arjan.
Yeah. What's up?
What's up, Doc? It has been a long time ago. So tell me what happened in your life.
In my life.
At what age? Let's start with that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The episode in my life that I want to share here is my kidnapping. I was working for Doctors Without Borders, 𝒃𝒐𝒆𝒆 𝒔𝒂𝒌𝒆𝒄 in Russia, in a war-conflicted area in Chechnya. And at a certain moment, my car was stopped, and then 4 guys with lots of force took me and they kidnapped me. They beat me up completely. I thought that they were going to kill me, but luckily they kept me alive. They wanted to have a ransom for $12 million, they told me. And I was a director at that time, and suddenly my life changed, of course. I was just a product which needed to be paid, and then I could go home. So for 20 months, they kept me in a cave under the ground in the mountains, high up, around 2,000 meters, like 7,000 feet. In the winter it was very cold. In the summer it was too hot, and every day was like, do I survive or will I be dead by tomorrow? Will I ever see my parents? Will I ever go home? Will I ever have freedom back in my life? And it was really, really hopeless in the beginning. I didn't see any chance to improve my situation. I was crying when they didn't see me. I didn't want to see me crying because I knew it was a macho culture, so I had to adapt and adjust to the situation. And it took me like 2 weeks, and then I thought, okay, I will change my attitude. I'm the man. I will survive. I'm going home alive. I will see my parents. And with all the bad days, like Christmas on your own, birthdays on my own, lots of unfriendly people in the beginning, and lots of hope, lots of energy to say, okay, I'm going to make it. I'm going home. I will be the winner. So I found power within myself, which I didn't expect I had, because I never expected to be kidnapped, of course. And by fighting with them, really like a boxing game, by getting to know the culture, getting to build up empathy, I made it. Luckily, ransom was paid, and then I went home. I was so happy to see my family. I kissed my mother, of course. I kissed my father, my 2 brothers, and since then, life changed. The word freedom. Now we all know with this COVID-19 what freedom is. But since that time, freedom became much more important to me. Being really the guide of your own life, but also guide to other people how they can increase freedom. That's a big change for me after 20 months being kidnapped. I see lots of people watching us, but if you have questions, just ask them. We all give short introductions, and this is mine.
Yeah, beautiful. It has been a while ago. 2003 it was. For 607 days kidnapped, 607 days. So imagine, almost 2 years kidnapped in a room 2 by 2. Was it all the time the same room, or was it?
For 15 months it was the same room. So imagine it's always like a twilight zone. It's already in between the living and in between the dead, and lots of insects, even frogs, like snails. And just every day the same food, every day the same routine. It's like the movie Groundhog Day. I don't know if you've seen it. So every day is the same. So it's so much boredom, but also so much fear, because when you're kidnapped, you never know for sure if you're going to survive. So every day could be my last one. So that gives also lots of tension, of course. But at the end, I managed to build up rapport with my kidnappers, and then.
And did you see their faces? Were they always the same kidnappers?
They were walking around with masks, uniforms, Kalashnikovs all the times. So in the beginning, it's really difficult to find a way of understanding, because I hated them because they took away my life, and they saw me as the guy from the West, and of course their culture doesn't like our culture. So that was really difficult to find the common language.
I'm always asking myself, okay, the connection between your parents and yourself after this whole experience, is it much closer?
Yeah, of course. Everything is, all the good things in life are much better. And my parents, luckily, they both alive. They're 81 now. It was for them even more difficult, I think, than for me, because they didn't know what I was going through. They all made their own kind of imaginations. But since then, we already had a good connection. But yeah, it became better. And now I'm in the role to take care of them a little bit. And, yeah, it's nice to have them. I remember I had to write a letter to my parents, and in the beginning I wrote a nice letter like, "Oh, the kidnappers aren't so bad. The situation isn't so bad. I hope to see you hope to see you soon." But then I realized, okay, that could be my farewell letter as well. And then, yeah, I expressed all my love, all my gratitude for everything they've done. And I think we should do that while we're still alive. Lots of people cry at burials, but maybe we should express our love and gratitude more often to each other.
There are so many connections with what people this year are suffering, and we don't know yet how many people lost people, family members. We still don't know yet, and we still don't know how they feel, how their life has been changed by suddenly losing friends, family members because of this COVID. So we can learn a lot in this webinar from you, of course. Let us go to Joseph, because I think Joseph's story is good connected to Australia. Is it? Jerry, I ask you, you are now on the big screen. Tell what's the connection between Australia and the story, what he's going to tell.
Well, that should be very interesting. I know you like to throw questions in from left field, so I'm scratching my head wondering how I can answer that. Australia gets started by a colony of prisoners, so maybe that's the link we're looking for here, because
that's what I want to hear from you.
Because people got sent here for a loaf of bread. Still in a loaf of bread back in the UK in the 1800s. But no, that doesn't link in with Joseph's story at all. Well, in fact, what I will mention is, like, when I've listened to your story, Joseph, and to think that all those stickers on your passport was something that caused an issue. In Australia, it's a pride, to have so many stickers that we've left this big island of ours and travel the world. So you wear those stickers with a badge of honor. And for you, it was a case of, please explain what's with all these, stamps. And it's incredible how it's gone from that. And the life that you were living, as a 24-year-old, life was just opening up for you. And then, incredible. Yeah, so I don't want to tell your story, Joseph. I would like you to tell it first, please.
And by the way, your connection with where you were born, Belfast. It's
Joseph's from Belfast.
Maybe that's a more connection with what the last person, Ferry, has experienced. But give it a go, Joseph. Tell us all your story.
Yeah, and thanks so much, Maurice and Ferry, for having me on. And hello there in Australia, down under. It's so awesome. And I just got myself again listening to Arjan's story. It was so engaging again, knowing that I still vividly remember when Arjan came home in 2003 in 2004, April. And he was coming home, and it was like nationwide news with his beard, and he had this bewildered look, and not knowing that same year, 2004, would be the biggest change in my life. And I was a young IT engineer, had my own company. I was indeed traveling a lot around the world, so I had a lot of stamps in my passport. This is the actual passport that I always had with me. And the 23rd of December 2004, I was in Morocco, and I was on another business trip as usual. And I began my working day in one of the companies I always worked at, and early in the morning, I saw this company being surrounded by so many cars with flashing lights, and I saw people in uniforms with shotguns and pistols just flying around, and people crying, suffering, and I was thinking, wow, what's going on here? And I wanted to know for my work, for my client, what was going on in this company. So I went to the gate of this company and I stood there between those police cars asking, waving, drawing the attention of these people in uniform. And eventually they came up to me asking me what I was doing here. And I explained to them that I was from the Netherlands working here. And they brought me in and showed me two big vans which were loaded with 8,000 kilos of drugs. And at that time, I saw that 8,000 kilos of drugs, and I really thought, wow, okay, that's a lot of drugs. So what's going on? So they took me in for questioning at the police station, and that's where they told me that they found it rather suspicious that I had so many stamps or stickers, as you say, in my passport. And I explained, like all my colleagues, you know, we travel a lot. But to them, it was suspicious, so I had to stay. And they told me, don't worry, we're just gonna, you know, investigate some things, gonna figure out some things, and then you'll be heading home tomorrow. But then I spent Christmas in the cell, and then I had to go to prison, and then I had to go to court. And from one day, it became a week, and weeks became months. And it was all a show trial, knowing now, looking at it in hindsight. And in the end, they gave me 10 years imprisonment.
10 years.
At 24 years old. Out of the blue, out of nothing. You just said it too easy. You're convicted to 10 years. And that's when my prison life started. It's when we actually start to fight for our freedom. My mom, my dad, my family, friends, everyone with the Dutch government. They actually meddled in the end with the case, saying that all the laws should be removed, that I should be set free, because the stickers, they said that I had 22 entry stamps versus 17 exit stamps in Morocco. Yeah, because when you go to Morocco, you get a stamp. When you leave the country, you get a stamp again. 22 versus 17, they stated in my judgment of 10 years imprisonment. But the reality was this passport with 11 entry stamps versus 10 exit stamps. So it was correct. And we had proof. They knew who was behind all this. It goes way to the Russian mob. I know now. They had name, address, telephone number, everything of the owners of these two white big vans with 8,000 kilos of drugs. So they knew everything, but they didn't care because it was a settled case from the beginning. When I asked what was going on at the gate, just doing my job.
Wow.
They left me with 10 years. Yeah.
It's yeah. It's again when you're telling the story again and again, and I've heard the story, of course, again and again, Joseph. It just, they took away a part of your life, but does it feel like they took a part of your life?
Well, at that time, they took away my whole life, because the sadness I went through, I mean, I'm smiling now because my life's beautiful right now, but at that time, at 24 years old, you're building up your life. I had a beautiful relationship. I had my friends, my family. I was bound to head home for Christmas, but all of a sudden I was just, you know, it was gone. It was over. So the whole life I knew was just thrown away, literally thrown away, would never come back. And yeah, I had to adjust to a completely new life.
Yeah, it's same question. What I have for Arjan, of course. What was it in your human body that made you not decide on, okay, let's try to shoot myself, it's all over? What was the turning point in prison from I will survive and it will go into a more happier life after that? There must be a reason for what I meant.
Yeah, I think the obvious flaws in my judgment gave me the strength to say to myself, they can imprison my body, but my spirit will be as free as a bird, because it was so obvious that I actually called my mom, even after Court of Appeal, that all the flaws were just admitted and they were removed from my judgment, but it still left the 10 years. I was actually laughing. It was so obvious that I said to my mom with big tears in my eyes, Mom, you won't believe this, but they removed the flaws, they admitted everything, but they left it 10 years. It's unimaginable, but Mom, don't worry about me. We're gonna manage, we're gonna survive. It gave me so much strength to believe in myself. All my friends, family, they just stood behind me from the first minute that they took me in. So that gave me, that was everything.
Yeah, your mother is Dutch, your father's from Morocco.
Yeah.
Of course, this same question for you. Is the connection between your mother better now than before?
Well, it was always good. I really feel privileged to have such a mom, because it's not taken for granted that you have such a mom. Not everyone has such a mom. So I always hope maybe you have someone else. So who do you have in your life? But the relationship has become way more intense. Yeah. Hence the title of my book, 400 Letters from My Mother.
Yeah, beautiful title. That's and it's a bestseller.
Out in woo.
Yeah, it's really a bestseller. A lot of people are engaging with you, but also with Arjan with his book. For you, it's 1637 days in prison. For Arjan, it was 607 days. That something happened. Yeah, Gary. I asked you last week in the briefing, can you give me some examples in your area of these two stories? And there's another story that we start in a minute. It's just, yeah, you can learn now in this year so much from Joseph, from Arjan, and also from Ferry. Let's go to Ferry, because Ferry is a connection with more like what happened in the Belfast area some years ago. Tell me, Jerry. Tell me just.
Tell me. It's funny because I was going to touch on like with Joseph's story. We'll probably come back to it, but Joseph, I would like one of your mother's Christmas cards. I think everybody should have one of your mother's Christmas cards.
Not getting, this is the original.
The original. That's amazing. Like just like Arjan is that those nights you must have had when you just wanted to crawl up into a ball and cry. Like we tell this story like, as if like it's a Hollywood story gone bad, but it's like it happened. And it was like they were sentenced you to 10 years. They took away your life, and you were in those cells. It's like it's unimaginable. The same as like with Arjan underground. Like he would feel like he was in a coffin, and the way he was treated, and to be innocent, of no crime. It's just mind blowing. Like we'll probably cross the ferry here, but it's like there's a Bob Dylan song there. It's like. It's just wrong, and you just think it can't be. You've gone over there to find out what's happening and how you might be able to help, and it's just turned so wrong on you. It's mind-bending and mind-blowing that you have this wonderful attitude, but I can only imagine when you come out, that hug you give your mother must have been the biggest hug in the world, just like I would when he back, and you probably wanted to hug everybody in the football stadium as well. I think clips of that. It was incredible. Like that whole emotional roller coaster of just having everything taken away from you, and then to come out again like you guys have, it blows me away.
And the good thing with Joseph is, of course, after he wrote that book, that best-selling book, 400 Letters to It, that he now has more than one mother.
Oh,
It's true. But when I step down from the plane, I have a small mother. She's like 5'3", like 160. But her arms were like 3 meters, and then she hugged me like an octopus. It was really really nice. Yeah.
like a big mama bear or something.
Yeah.
And Jerry, Ferry is waiting because we.
I know, but
Take your time.
Yeah, he's been waiting so long.
No
That's
stress.
only for Ferry because that's a recent story, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and it happened. It happened all in Paris, and most of the time it's romantic in Paris. It's romance. I did my proposal close to Paris. That was 12 years ago, but sometimes different thing happened, and it was the worst attack in Europe. So tell me more about it.
It was more of a bromance weekend. Actually, I went a weekend to Paris in November of 2015. We went on a road trip, the 4 of us. We were attending a concert of a rock band from the United States, California, the Eagles of death metal. It's an easy rock and roll band, which I kind of like. I'm not a big fan, but my buddies asked me, "Are you joining us for some beers and rock music?" And yeah, then I'm good to go. That's all I need. So that rock show in Paris, there were 1,200 people inside. It was a sold-out rock show. It was just it's just the best thing in the world, to travel with your buddies, having a beer, having a dance. The show was awesome. There was a really nice vibe and vibrant energy in the room. We were dancing and having a beer. But out of the blue, this whole scenery changes into a war zone when 3 IS terrorists entered the room and started shooting. And just seconds after, life was one big party. We see people getting hit right beside us. People die. They shot 89 people. 89 people died inside, and over 300 were hit by bullets. I was in the attack. Yeah, between 15 and 20 minutes. I don't know for sure because you lose track of time and stuff like that. I managed to escape. I had to, on all fours. I crawled outside the room to dodge the bullets, and then I just ran for my life. I ran through the streets of Paris. I'd lost my body, so I had no idea if they were still alive. And then there was this French lady. Her name is Veronique. She saw me running, and she saw that I was in desperate need of some help, and that I don't speak French, and she noticed that quite soon, and she offered me shelter at her home. So she took me into her home, and I could calm down on her couch and contact my buddies. And it took me more or less an hour and a half to reach out to them. I spoke between 45 minutes. So I was so happy that they were still alive, because when I entered her house, I didn't know if my friends were alive. I thought one must have died, from what I've seen inside. And my last friend, Bob, it took an hour and a half to reach out to him. And I remember that moment. I didn't cry up to then. And it was at that time that I found out that all my buddies were alive, that I just let it all out and started crying, and all the emotions came. But I always say in my longer presentations that within 20 minutes, I am confronted, with the worst of mankind, people that are trying to kill you, and the best. This strange lady that just takes you into her house and treats you like like family. That's actually what she did. So that was, that was amazing. And then I spent the whole night at her house, and the next morning I got reunited with my buddies. That was also a very emotional moment. We saw each other at a hotel, and we had no jackets on. It was very cold. That they were still in the concert venue, and one of my friends, he had no shoes on. Our clothes were still covered in blood. We had a big group hug, and we cried in the hotel lobby. But also some jokes were being made already. That's also how that's also us. It's not only crying, and we don't take life too seriously. And that moment, emphasize that side of our character. So yeah, this was obviously a life-changing ordeal. And
how did you deal with it? How did your friends deal with it? Because I think the second part of your story is even more amazing.
Yeah, it's I mean, if you see people, I mean, that are your age dying right beside you at a night out, that changes you. It made me appreciate life more, but also the fact that I live in a country that is free of war. That's something I never, I mean, I knew it, but it never just crossed my mind that how fortunate I am that I'm born in a country that is free of war. But also I started, I had a lot of anger inside me that was just out. I always have a bullshit filter now. I just don't worry about stuff that you shouldn't worry about. I have more focus and control in my life. It made me a much happier person. And yeah, I used to be a physical therapist, and now I speak all over the world, you know, sharing my story. I even spoke to the world leaders at the United Nations last year. That's something I just need to brag about that. And yeah, it's amazing what a horrible night like that can accomplish if you're willing to take life lessons from it. And that's what I share with the audience.
But the connection in okay, this happened suddenly 5 years ago. Then you come back. Then you really know what life means. What maybe also freedom means. I think it's a good question for all of you three guys. What is freedom for you? And then you connected with the father of your shooter next to you.
We were on a talk show a few days after the attack to ask for help, actually, because the victim support groups in Holland, they did not reach out to us. Only TV shows and journalists. So we had to go on live television to ask, you know, the country, like, can someone help us, please? Because only journalists are calling us, and we need some help. You know, like, what do you do after you survive a terrorist attack? I mean, I could not work, but nobody was helping us. So that's why we went on national TV, and the talk show we went on a few months later, I found out that, it was a year later, that the father of one of the terrorists was a guest there. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. I want to meet this guy. Because I already, in my mind, I knew the fact that he is willing to go on TV. I knew that he was the terrorist himself. And so I contacted the people who create the talk show, like, can I meet this guy backstage? And they set up a meeting, and it was a live show, so it was very chaotic and hectic, and we exchanged phone numbers. And a few months later, I went to his house. So I went to the house of one of the shooters. I remember he showed photos of his son. His name was Sammy. And I remember that I saw Sammy shooting in the Bataclan. So I was at the house of one of the shooters. That was also a life-changing ordeal to meet his family, who, and I already knew this, but they knew nothing about what their son was about to do. It was not how they raised them, and their life was scattered. You know, a lot of people were labeling them as terrorists as well, blaming them for what their kid had done. But I like the way they are. This father has been very inspirational for me, because he's trying to, you know, educate the world, to show the world, like, okay, I brought my son up. I raised my son to be a normal human being, but he shot a lot of people in the end. And how did this happen? Let's learn from my son's story. But a lot of people are still blaming him for what his son did. And they also, I got a few death threats after, because the meeting at his house was documented for a documentary. And people were like, why are you talking to this terrorist? And I thought, like, this is what needs to happen. You know, we always need to keep talking to each other about stuff like this. And he wrote a book that is translated in Dutch this year, and he asked me to write the preface. So I was very honored to do. And I also wrote a book myself that I will release later this year.
in November it will be released, your book. What's the title of your book?
The main title is Souvenirs, and we're still thinking about a subtitle. So I'll keep you updated on that one.
People chat if you have an idea for the subtitle.
Oh, I have so many ideas. I just don't know which one to choose.
The thing for me is, of course, did you support each other? And do you have maybe an advice for people, okay, that see that father of that child in a very negative way? Because you experience as father now, and of course I'm a father. You are becoming a father. Joseph is a young father. Arjan is a father of 3 amazing children. So
yeah, it's the thing you see a lot, and it's all over the world, that people give their opinion on people, on stuff, on refugees, people they don't shit about. And this father of the terrorist, he wants to speak to everybody. Every journalist is welcome at his house. Talk to him and then form your opinion. Don't judge too soon. I went to this meeting with him with an open mind, an open view. I thought I want to meet this guy and then form my opinion.
That's your
and that's how I deal with a lot of stuff in my life. I mean, don't judge too soon. And people judge too soon about things they know nothing about. If you complain about refugees coming here, and I mean, imagine what it would be if you would be in their shoes. You know, it's so easy to talk with your fridge full of food and all your money in the bank account.
Yeah, it's a great lesson for all of us. Just take your time. We have now time to connect, to build a better relationship with one another, and then have your opinion. And not through social media or chat, but in an open way together. And we're all human beings. We're all different backgrounds, of course. I think it's a great lesson. Thank you for sharing that. I see a couple of questions. Please chat your questions when you have them. Of course, I think Lisbeth is asking us. She has more questions. I see. Did this accident change your way of life? And I think we bring all speakers in, Arjan and Joseph, because this is a question for everybody. Let me begin with you, Ferry.
Sorry, I was checking some questions.
Did this accident change your way of life?
Well, yeah, I like to think so. Yeah,
Obviously.
I hope I just shared that with you.
Yeah, but were you a different person before than after?
Yeah. Like I said, I was a more negative and angry person, and I didn't appreciate things that I took a lot of things for granted. I mean, and now I feel silly now and then that I had to survive a terrorist attack to understand that you don't have to that there's no need to be so angry all the time and blaming other people for your setbacks, and to take more control of your own life. And that's why I'm giving these speeches, you know, that you don't have to survive what Joseph survived or Arjan survived to understand what we've learned from it. And sometimes I thought, why didn't anybody give me a kick in the ass, you know? Like, come on, guys, stop complaining. But we all learn, right?
You didn't listen. They did, but you didn't listen.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Joseph, of course, it has changed your life, and you all 3 are human beings, included Jerry, of course. I know you for quite a long time. I know Arjan very long. It feels like you are already my family. It feels like you are all my family, and you are all enjoying life, and that's so beautiful to see. So tell me again in short, what is your lesson, Joseph?
Well, if I could just share one lesson, except for just believing in what you do and believing in yourself, is to always look at the possibilities. So what is possible as opposed to what's not possible. Too many people are just thinking in, a certain way of well, what's not possible. So that's the thing I would like to share. So what is possible every time again, because it's a constant process, because life is a constant process. So it's never that there's a point in life where you think of, well, I'm here, now I feel happy, now it's okay, so I can lean back, and that's it. No, life throws you something else again and again and again and again. And every time, it's up to you how you deal with it. That's the attitude, like Arjan said as well. Well,
It's never done.
picture. Ferry, you were taking a picture, man. I heard it.
Yeah. Oh, very fun.
Put the sound on. That was funny. So you took a picture of me again, huh? You always take pictures of me. That's
You're such a handsome guy.
You're so handsome, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice for everyone to know. While we were in the waiting room and Joseph was alone and he was singing like Michael Jackson and I videotaped him. I will put it online later.
You're gonna put it on YouTube, whatever.
That's the problem we all have, of course. Arjan, I think it all answers the question of Ritu. Thank you for your question. What's that one thing you took away from your incident? Can you please share one?
No, at least what I learned is that I'm much stronger than I expected. If I've seen what kind of hardship I went through, it makes life easier after that, and it also gives me much more confidence and power. And then I totally agree with the other guys. If you're strong, you can take all the, not all of them, but the chances, the choices are all around you. But you just have to have the courage to do something with it. And we survived, we managed, we know we're strong, and that's why life is also, there's so much gratitude and so much possibilities that I'm so much more happy than before. I was already a happy child, and now I'm even more happy. So there's so many colorful things in life, but just enjoy them, see them, open your eyes. Ferry always says, put on your pink glasses, but it's true. Don't look at the negative sides or just for a moment. But if you look too long at the negative side of life, then you will become a negative person, and then people will walk away from you. So.
And what's the title again of your English book? The English title of your book?
Mine is just Kidnapped, and then from hostage to freedom fighter. I like to bring freedom in people's life, because many times in life we put ourselves in prison, and it's not so bad as Joseph's prison, of course, but fear or security or not looking into possibilities or staying a negative person, then we don't allow ourselves the chances that are flying around us, and then we stop ourselves from our own development. And
I read a post about your foundation, and tell me more about that.
I also started a foundation, Free a Girl. That's about freeing children from sexual exploitation, and there's so many children around the world also being kidnapped or taken away, put into the brothels all over Asia, India, Thailand. And I was so happy that other people did everything to get me out. Even the Prime Minister did his best, but also just my neighbor, people I didn't know. When I came back, there were so many happy people that sent me postcards, emails. And then when I heard about these stories, that their families, they lose their children and they're not strong, and their government don't care. So I thought, okay, I want to share this goal and get them out. And since then, we freed already more than 4,700 children. So that's
wow. Yeah, wow.
So you can all donate. freeagirl.com.
Yeah. That is I asked Kim to look for the link and share it in the chat. But it's not about the donation, but it's such a beautiful thing that when something happens in life that you start caring about other lives. I think
that's also Ferry and I had a nice.
Ferry is promoting himself now.
Free girl.
Jerry, of course, I know these three amazing people. I know these in person, and please invite us to come to Australia sometime when this whole crisis lockdown is over. I've been there for 20 years ago, so I know how beautiful it is. It's not just the country that is beautiful; it's all all people in Australia. All Australians are very beautiful people. So Australia, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Should be beautiful.
Jerry, maybe you have a question. Of course, about freedom. We can talk about everything.
There's so much to talk about. Like, I love that foundation you've set up. That's incredible. You've taken your strength, your situation, and turned it around to help so many others. So, like, with that Save a Girl, could you just hit us with that number again? How many have you?
Yeah, more than 4,700 since 2003. Wow. Yeah, so that's. I always felt, and maybe the other two guys as well, that I got a second chance in my life. And everyone can. Tomorrow we can start to build up our new life, but yeah, some people are really hold back, and I think we also have to liberate them.
Absolutely, totally agree. And like with Ferry, I can't just say that it was just lucky. Like, you were just, angels must have been looking after you that night, because I've heard you describe just how small the venue is, and then have 89 people shot and killed, and then another 390 were shot, and then for your as a group of 4 to come out of that is incredible. Yeah. I think it was Simone that asked the question, did you feel guilty that you survived? But you actually answered that when we were chatting. Like, there was a couple of people upstairs looking after you. And I like to think about that with, like, my accident, which I shared with you guys. But you get a second chance at life. And you just don't want to tolerate, one for better words, is people who are being negative, or people who are complaining and going back to, like, the refugees. It's like, walk in their shoes, or if somebody's complaining, because I can bring this back to the Belfast situation. Catholic and Protestants were just fighting for centuries, and then a whole lot of us went through Canada, and a whole lot came to Australia. And then we realized that they're no different. We can all get along. And we went to the beach, and they're going, so all that bigotry, it was left behind. Of course, some people can't leave bigotry behind and bring it with them, but screw them ones. Screw them. It's like, you got to treat people like people. And Ferry, that's a beautiful thing you did by reaching out to understand. And I think when you get this second chance, like Joseph, and like all three of you, it's just, there's no time for that bullshit. It's time to take action. Like, you've all done, you've taken action, you've had this second chance of life, and you're making a massive difference for other people.
It's what I say, connection with time. We now experience this year that we must more care about one another. It is not about me, it's about we. And the problems are all in the world the same. There could be maybe a Joseph living somewhere else. And these three guys, and I know Joseph, but these three guys became very good friends. They take care of each other, and it's beautiful to see. Take your time to meet another person. Take your time to if you can help them. We did a webinar 2 weeks ago with Simon Doble and Arash. 2 human beings, they didn't know them before and they have the same mission about solving the energy poverty. It's so beautiful to see that connect, learn from each other, and grow. And that's what also we are trying to do here, to spread these beautiful stories to the world. Before we forget, and I see the time is, we can speak, I think, a whole day about this topic. I always like it. Do you have questions for one another? Arjan, do you have a question for those, Joseph and Ferry? I love to, and please share it.
Yeah, it's about, did gratitude change a lot for you about life in general? And what does it do difference to you?
Joseph?
What was it? Did what? Your English is not that good.
Of course, we all much more grateful about life, but how did that change your life?
Well, to me, it's like taking things for granted. I think it's normal for a teenager or for someone in his early or her early 20s, that you're just building up your life. You're thinking about life, but you're also thinking about your own career, and it's okay. And I think, to me, having a mom, I always thought that every child has a mom like I had. I have, because she's still alive. Those are just the small things. And now, being a father, seeing my beautiful wife being a loving mother, it's another level. It's so awesome. I look at them not as, oh yeah, that's my child, that's the mother of my child. No, it has so many more levels to it. That's the biggest change I
know what you mean, Joseph, and I shared a post of my children, because I was the child yesterday running through the mice fields with my children, and you see that smile of a child, and we must show our smiles much more. It's not only Thailand, the land of the smile. The world must be smiling. That's my. So, same question for Ferry, or?
Yeah.
Was there another question?
Or I can ask another one.
No, there was a question in the chat. Did the father?
Let us focus for the questions between you guys.
Okay.
We can always answer the questions of people in the chat after the webinar. It would be lovely to share each other questions.
And maybe for you, what's the biggest lesson you learned, Ferry?
The biggest lesson, that it all relies on me. Everything that happens in my life, I used to blame everybody else for setbacks or minor flaws, and now I always take a look in the mirror and see if I'm the one who's responsible for this or that's not going well in my life, and so more focus and more control of my life. And this new mindset, you just stole my my nice quote. That's okay, Arjan. And
it does. Read it.
He always does that. I mean, if you view
empty by myself.
If you view the world through rose-colored glasses,
pink. You always say rose.
Yeah,
pink. That's why I tell you pink.
That's the phrase, right, Jerry? Rose-colored.
Yes,
it is. Pink.
Yes. You're correct.
Yeah, I knew that.
Arjan's English is bad,
And I know it sounds a bit corny, but it means just, I mean, in every situation that life throws at you, there are negative aspects, but also positive aspects. And the old Ferry never saw the positive aspects of everything in life, And now when there's a new crisis, I'm like, hey, challenge, come on, bring it on.
Yeah.
Corona.
Just take that one step, because you never know what the second step is.
Yeah.
But Jerry, I just found out this morning that a part of Australia is going into lockdown again.
Yes, there is. We've had a small outbreak. Again, we're very fortunate down here with our numbers. We have been flattening the curve, and again, I think it's a bit of a build up there, because there is a rise, but we're talking under 100. I don't want to play that down, but as compared to whatever else has gone on, it's like, oh, this is taken off again. It's all fixable, and people are working on it. So it's just in Melbourne, and we wish them well with it, So it's like the more help they can get, the better. And then when we look at COVID, just like you guys have been saying, is we start looking after each other better. We start looking after each neighbor looking after neighbor, and looking after the elderly more. If there was one big thing we'd want to come out of this crisis and pandemic, would be that it brings us closer together, which has happened with you guys. It's taken something, monumental to maybe bring us a bit closer together. And, I hope to God that's what happens when we come out of this.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Yeah.
Questions for the guys?
To Arjan, obviously I had my mom while I was in prison. And Ferry, he had his angel when he was running in the streets of Paris, and then he encountered that strange woman who came his life saving. You were that keeps on amazing me. You were all by yourself, day in, day out, 607 days and nights. Because I know from experience, you count the nights as well, not only the days.
It goes very slow.
Yeah, it's very slow. I mean, I can only imagine. And who did you think of, or who did you have? I read your book, amazing story. You became befriended with one of these guys who took you in, who kidnapped you. But who did you have except for yourself? Who were you thinking of?
Yeah, no, for me, my family and my girlfriend were really important. And I wanted to see them back, and I didn't want to disappoint them for giving up, because they were waiting for me. Of course, I felt that they were doing everything to get me out, and then if I would commit suicide or I would make a major mistake to get myself killed, I would let them down as well. And I think also that helped a lot. So, for example, my girlfriend, she became more and more like an angel, and she was the best ever, and more beautiful. And sometimes I was watching TV with my kidnappers, and I saw a beautiful girl in some kind of advertisement about mineral water, and I told them, that's my girlfriend. And then they said, but maybe you look like Brad Pitt or something. So they didn't believe it, but it was really, my wife is standing there. And she, sure. I don't know.
It's a long time ago that I.
So that helped, and I thought, if she will wait for me, then the sun will start to shine again. And my parents also, my brothers, my sister. So don't give up. So that's also a lesson. Sometimes you have to fight, and sometimes it's really a big fight. And
awesome.
If you have this winner's mentality, that's cool to find in yourself a mentality that there's no way you're going to lose. That's also nice. So
awesome.
Parents, girlfriend.
Awesome. And to Ferry, I think that's also a beautiful question from Simone. That's the question that I had sometimes also. Did the father of the guy who was shooting and who you met, did he understand the actions of his son? That's also a question I sometimes just pop up in my mind.
Question of Simone Filippini.
Simone.
It's a very long answer, because he actually did.
He did.
He knew what his son was up to, because it was a whole process. He saw his son started to change when he turned 25. He suddenly let his beard grow, was wearing traditional Muslim clothing, jalaba, and went to the mosque like every day, which he never did in the past. And also he brought his dad once to a Muslim preacher, and his father was like, this is not how I raised you. What this guy is telling you, this is the wrong stuff. Please stop going there. And then he already thought, okay, I need to look after him. This is not, there's something happening. And then he actually told his father, I want to join IS. And his father immediately noticed the authorities. But because his son didn't act his thoughts out, then they don't do anything. And it's the story we always hear, when something happens in the world, that authorities knew them, but they didn't arrest him. And that was the case with his son as well. They took his passport, that's what they did. But he still managed to organize a fake passport and fled the country to Syria. So his father didn't support it, obviously, but he knew that his son was, that this radicalization progress was taking place. And he also visited him in Syria.
Yeah, but did he understand? Did he understand why he was doing this? That's
well, he understood that his son was brainwashed, and because he met him in Syria again, and he said, "I never saw him alone. There's always somebody with him, and he wanted me to address him with a different name." So he said it wasn't my son anymore; it was someone else. So deep in his heart, obviously, he can never understand why his son did that, but he understands how it happened. To different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The process. Yeah.
But he did everything he could to stop it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ferry, for this answer. I'm looking at the time, but love, please share your questions to Joseph and Arjan. Ferry.
a question with yeah, for both of you. Were there? I mean, obviously for Joseph, there were happy moments when you received all those letters from your mom. But can you tell us more about other happy moments that you had inside? Because I knew that you had them, right?
Oh yeah. That's it wasn't all misery. We had beautiful moments, and that's exactly the the parallel I see within in all of our stories.
Yeah.
That even the people now attending, we all have a story.
Yeah.
And I used to think that all people in prison were bad people. They were all criminals. And then I found out that there were so many just normal people, innocent, or they made a mistake in life, and then we stay biased for the rest of our lives. But the one thing I like to share on stage is this is a present from my mom, and I made this in prison, and you can see that I draw balloons, and I asked my fellow inmates in my department if they could just write something for the birthday of my mom.
All right.
Yeah, these are all people, yes, there were criminals, yes, there were murderers, but there were also innocent people. But the one thing that I always want to show, they all had a story. And if you're open to that story without being biased, just, being connected, then hard masks will drop off and you'll get connected to one another. And that's one of the beautiful happy moments I always like to share. But you have to create it yourself.
Yeah, nice, very, very, very nice.
Ferry for Arjan?
No,
Ferry.
I want to compliment the other guys. It's their stories are also unbelievable, and they're so strong. And yeah, I remember a girlfriend of Joseph came to one of my lectures, and I signed a book for him. Now I didn't know at that time that Joseph was Joseph. Of course, I didn't even know who he was. But she said, "Yeah, I have a boyfriend. Can you write something?" And yeah, of course I did. And then it's nice that afterwards we got to know each other. Happiness. Yeah, I also had some nice, some fun moments. Of course, we're all guys, and yeah, we got to know each other. That's also a question. I don't know if I have time for Joseph. How do you make contact with other people that you don't like in the beginning or that you're afraid of? But then one of the nice moments was, for example, watching TV. At a certain moment, they allowed me to watch TV with them. And it was such a nice series about criminal life in Moscow. And after 11 weeks, I was completely dragged into that series. And I was looking forward on Monday already, like, hey, on Wednesday, I'm going to watch this series. And the guys were also looking forward. And then there came rumors that I was supposed to go home. And I thought, oh, no, but I want to stay here until the end of the series. So moments, but also jokes, or talking about women, talking about dancing, these kind of things were, it's like Joseph says, you have to feel the empathy also for other people. If you all the time think about yourself, of course, sometimes you have to think about yourself. You have to be a little egocentric to reach goals in your life, but there's so many people around you that can also help you and can give color to your life. So
did you see their faces of those ones who kidnapped you? Did you ever see their faces or just the masks?
Most of the time, the mask, because I told myself I don't want to see their faces because then I become a danger for them. But sometimes I forgot. So in total, I saw maybe 10 seconds. In 10 seconds, I saw 3 faces.
Wow.
So, but most of the time it were just masks. But then even with mask on, you can see if people are happy, if they're angry. You can see the eyes. You can feel their energy. Yeah.
Still, what I wonder, because my wife also, not like you, of course, but she,
like a mask.
She
has
to
wear a mask.
In her life, a gun to her head with a person to a mask. Are you still afraid for people wearing masks?
No, luckily I don't have this. The first day I came home.
Nowadays, a lot of people are wearing masks.
Yeah. No, luckily I don't have any fear or bigger fear than before. I think what happened is on the day that I came back and I lay to sleep, there was a big shiver going through over my body, really from the top of my head until the toes, and maybe all the bad thinking and bad thoughts or bad feelings went out. Of course, I have lots of memories, and I think the other guys also have these memories every day. It will never go away, but it also gives me not happiness, but like a feeling of luck, like I survived. There's so many people don't survive when they're kidnapped, and so many people don't survive when they have a terrorist attack, or so many people in prison, they come home and they're like a vegetable. And luckily we are strong. And I don't know if it's luck or if that's our effort. Because of our efforts, it's a mixture, I guess.
And so coming back to Joseph, every human being has a story, of course. When I was showing that example, I think for me, for the first time that you really showed, I was connecting with what I experienced in Australia. I have never told you this, but when I was traveling after my study, I finished my university degree, economics, then I thought I must travel the world with only two reasons. Who am I and how do other people see me? Of course, that second question is for most people a very important question. How do other people see me? I don't want to take that step, what I feel, because what do other people think of me? So for me, that journey was 20 years ago. I wrote diaries, 7 at least, but I also let the people write in my diary that you meet on your way. And then at a certain time, and it's connecting with Joseph, I think, with the three of you, my grandmother was turning 90 years old. And I was thinking, okay, I must send her a gift, something special. But you are traveling at the other side of the world, and email was upcoming, the mobile phone, and what can surprise her? So I was emailing all the people that I met, can you please send her a birthday card? She's becoming, it's her 90th anniversary, special year. And after 1.5 years, after 1 year was been traveling for half a year, you come back and then you meet your grandmother again. And she shared with me 35 birthday cards received from all over the world, because those people were already in Africa, in Canada, from all over. And she said to me, I still remember, this is the most beautiful present I got.
Cool.
Everybody has a story, so do it together, and Jerry. And I'm thank you that Jerry, that you came into my life to do this webinar, some webinars together. We connect the world with these great stories, and stories is the connection between human beings, and that's what was included in the trailer of 𝒃𝒐𝒌𝒆𝒆 what I set up with the speaker on 𝒃𝒐𝒌𝒆𝒆. So it's when I look at the time, we can talk more about this topic, because it's connecting to all of us. So maybe your last question for you all. What can we learn from to stay motivated during this year? Because it's the speaking industry, the event industry, we don't know where to go, online, offline. You are 3 amazing speakers on stage. And I would love to bring you to your stories to the world. So a question let us end with that last question. How can people stay motivated during this time? Arjan.
Yeah, I can only talk about myself, of course, and hopefully that will help other people. I never believed in visualizing until I was kidnapped, and it really helps. You can take the examples from your past, the good examples, which give you energy, which gives you hope, which gives you freedom in your mind, it gives you happiness, because everyone in life had nice moments as well. And then, of course, you can transport these ideas about the past into the future, like this is what I want to have again. And you can color it big as you want, like I want to have a big house, but you can also, like you said, you can have a better relationship with your grandmother. You can choose your own goal in your life. And definitely after COVID-19, we can change if you want, you can make little changes, you can make big changes, and just visualize what you want, and then the massive action will come afterwards. But I don't believe in massive action. You all know me. Small action is sometimes also good enough. But at least there should be a little change and a little bit more action than you do at this moment, because otherwise nothing will change.
Thank you, Arjan. Very Joseph.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, visualizing, that's a strong point. That's what I do all the time. Next to do what you love and love what you do. I see too many people just bring up excuses that I can't do what I love because I need to pay the bills and this and that. And it's true that people make their own, prison mind, but it's actually true as well that if you do what you love, the rest will come eventually. But you have to put the time and effort into it, and you need to dare. I mean, dare. So many people, they just don't dare, but you live only once, and if you just end up not doing what you love, then what did you do?
Follow your love, don't be blind for it, just do it. Yeah, thank you. Ferry.
Yeah, do what you love. That's the most important thing in life, and life will keep throw setbacks on you. I mean, expect that will never stop, and that's out of your control, but you are in control on how you respond to that. And
Amen.
Let's end with that.
You, and I totally forgot Jerry's story, because in his story also he had a little accident. Let's really end with that. Just share your accident, please do.
All right, I'll try and do the quick version because it's very hard to follow these three stories, but it's the same outcome. It's about keep believing, visualize, think about things being better again, do what you love. Because I was doing what I love, which was cycling. I had just done a big 1,400-kilometer bike ride, so I felt really fit. And 2 weeks ago when I returned home, I was cycling. Somebody opened the door, I hit the door, got flung into the road. So just like Ferry said, life will throw you curveballs. And then a car came along and hit me, and I got folded up underneath the car, and the car pushed me for 20 meters. And thankfully, it came to a stop outside some cafes. And thankfully, a couple of big men like yourself, Arjan, came up and stood over the car. And one guy looked underneath and goes, "Guy in his 40s, he's dead." They said they'd never seen a human being so flattened. And they were thinking about getting a blanket. And then they decided, what shall we do? And they come up with a great idea of lifting the car off me, which I'm really pleased about. I'm glad one of them was smart enough to say, let's lift the car off them. And which they did. They pulled me out. And again, they thought I'd passed. But a bit maybe like Ferry, I had a couple of angels looking after me. And I thought, nah, he's going to talk too much. I think God maybe had his quota of Irishmen for the day. And thought,
we can understand him.
Yeah, he can go back. He can go back. And so after that, busted everything up. But I'm very lucky that I could still walk. I wasn't a paraplegic, didn't end up in a wheelchair or anything. Very, very fortunate. If that accident had to happen 50 meters down the road, those guys aren't there to lift the car off me. So yes, life does throw you curveballs. You can be in prison. You can be kidnapped. You can see a mass shooting. And it is just like all three of us have said, it's how you react to it. And it's what you do afterwards. We're all so grateful to be here and help other people. And that's what you guys do with your stories. And Maurice, that's what you do when you bring people together like this. But you guys have got a gift and a mission. You are so strong, three strong individuals here who have big hearts, big sense of humors, and you help people. You're helping people every single day. So, woohoo! Thank you.
Yeah.
That's my
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for having you. It's the first time that I'm really over time. Normally, I'm strict to 1 hour, but these I just want to listen for hours to your stories again and again and again, because the people can learn so much from you. And please stay on stage, offline, online. I'm so happy that I met you in my life, and let's just do it together. I'm doing this power webinar since the lockdown. It's my 23rd today. I have a little break. Normally I do two times a week, but the next power webinar, it will be also amazing. Different, but amazing. And I brought, it's on the 16th of July, so next Thursday, I brought Jade Simmons, a classical famous pianist in America. She's running for president in November. So she's running for president, and I thought, I love to connect with somebody that music is all around, with somebody who is more powerful to listen to music. So I brought her together with a South African, born blind, Hein Wagner, who set up a school last year for blind people.
Wow.
And that is growing very fast. He's living in Norway, so we have Norway, Austin, Texas together. And would it be amazing that she will be the next president?
I'm going to vote for her.
First female president of the United States.
Awesome.
Connecting with music the whole world, that it will be a more happy, more human, and more lovely place for all of us. 16th of July at 4 p.m. Amsterdam time. So hope everyone to join us. Hope that you are joining us, because lovely to have you then in the chat. And thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Ferry, again. Good luck with your last pages of your book, Ferry. And everybody should buy these books. My idea, of course, my creative mind, make a collection of your 3 books.
Hey, trilogy.
Ferry, Ryan, together. This is the price of your Amazon. What do you think about that, Jerry?
I think everybody should get it for Christmas. I think we should bundle it up, 3 books for once. That's what we should be reading during COVID.
Yeah, but yeah, of course, November. Yeah. No, Arjan, thank you as well.
Yeah, Jerry, nice to meet you. We'll see you in Australia, man, mate.
Yeah, come on. I'll get some bookings.
Yeah,
come on now.
December when it's summer and winter.
Deal.
Yeah.
Last thing, of course, the questions, we have a look at them and we share them with the 3 guys to ask them. They are happy to answer the questions. So thank you all, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Maurice.
Bye-bye.
It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. An absolute pleasure.
See you soon. Bye.